All right. Well, I was thinking of hooks, but I'm not even sure what we're allowed to say on YouTube anymore. I was
Yeah.
gonna say like the AJ word, but I don't know if that's a banishable offense or
Yeah, I don't know. Oh man, Tim Pool just had a really great tweet about that. It was shoot. Let me see if I can find it actually.
go for it. Take all the time you need.
Like already plugging Tim Pool.
Yeah. Well, I had just watched a bunch of his stuff to brush up
Oh,
for our interview. I was
word.
pumped because the last video he posted was like, and YouTube CEO admits to conservative bias, or something like
Yeah.
that. Don't quote me on that, but
Yeah. Um so his tweet was LOL, I just realized Ancient Aliens is now a violation of of YouTube community guidelines.
what?
Yeah. He doesn't
Th-
go I mean I'm sure he goes into the maybe he goes into why in the comments. I haven't read those yet, but
ah,
um
that's
you know,
see, yeah,
that's funny. I mean, everybody, at least everybody that I respect right now is immediately just backing up everything important to BitChute and all those
yeah,
other um platforms because
absolutely,
they're gonna be. I mean, they're already taking off. Like BitChute is already gone past like 10,000 or something, and it's still
yeah,
pretty unknown. So that's like a good
yeah.
milestone for them.
Mines. I definitely made a mines.
I still have to make
Um,
a mind. I made a BitChute, but I haven't made a mind.
okay, so how shall I introduce you? I guess first, I'll start out. We'll just pretend the video starts here.
Okay.
And, okay. Hey everyone, Carter Banks here, and I'm here with Kimberly Coulter, um, niece of Ann Coulter. And we are going to talk about YouTube and censorship and just what's going on right now, because it seems to be a lot. Why don't
Definitely.
you, Kimberly, why don't you tell me? I know we talked a few days ago, but I forgot to ask you what exactly happened with your job. Um,
So, well, a couple more things has come to light since I first told the story. So, um, what happened was uh, I had been released from a job, even though I had never been written up, and I had never really like had any problems with any coworkers, and the I was already at the point where I was kind of helping to train people who were new, and one day preceding me getting fired, I had gotten into sort of a dispute with a coworker in regards to stop the bias. And I realized, you shouldn't necessarily bring up things that are political in a workplace environment, but when you're, doing an 8 hour shift and there's a lot of downtime, like the conversations get a little bit tedious. So I wanted to bring up Stop the Bias because I had been following, Laura Loomer and all of the people who had been banned on all sorts of platforms, and I mentioned Alex Jones. You know, that's the big one. I mentioned him, and I work in Connecticut, so people are really sensitive about Sandy Hook. And
oh, didn't even
you
think
know,
about that.
yeah, but I mean, people like it's he pointed out that there were inconsistencies in the reporting, and it's not even like that necessarily was untrue, but he more so than others was a bit excessive about it, and people blame him. So this girl um went on a thing about how he deserves to die, and of course that made me very uncomfortable, and that kind of changed the attitude about my coworker around like my coworkers. Like it suddenly got a little bit more tense,
So
even though
one of the
like
girls you work with said this?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
like during a shift she was like, well, he deserves to be murdered. It's just like
wow.
that doesn't. And then, flash forward the next couple days, I had a really bad back spasm. It was like a one-off thing, but I asked my boss if I can use my 10 to go over to the urgent care nearby, and get like a 600 milligram ibuprofen or something,
Yeah.
because I didn't want to like miss my shift. I don't like missing work.
Yeah.
And of course, and he approved. And when I got there, the doctor saw my back and was like, "You need to stay here for a minute." And so I texted my boss. I like made sure everything was covered. And then the next day, I get a text from one of my coworkers like, "Hey, what's up? Like your name isn't even on the list for the schedule." And I was like, "Okay, that's a little weird." So I texted in. I was like, "Hey, everything's cool. They just needed to make sure that it wasn't something serious. Um, I'm ready to come back to work whenever. Just let me know when the schedule comes out." And he was just like, he sent me over a text message, um, to the lines of like, or to the tune of, "You're not a good fit for this job. We're not, or you're not a
What?
good fit for this position. You know, good luck on your podcast."
Oh my gosh,
And
that is ridiculous.
so, and then when I follow up, when I had, you know, asked to speak to somebody above him, when I had tried to call in to the corporate office, when I finally heard back from someone, all of a sudden I was this terrible employee who was late all the time, which wasn't true. And I apparently, said I was going to go to CVS and then disappeared for 40 minutes.
Wow.
Like
So,
and I had, I have text evidence, right? Like I'm
yeah.
not, I have all of the evidence from, when I had sent him the messages. There was two other people working there who heard me. I didn't say CVS. So like, it was basically just like they jumped on the first opportunity that they could to get rid of me.
Yes, like the narrative has already started winding as soon as you um, came back. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Uh, yeah, they didn't even ask for like a doctor's note or something, or
Well, that's the thing. I sent him I had the picture the doctor gave me of the note. I texted that in. I said, "I'd be more than happy to bring this in person, but just so you know, like, this is the update." Um, and like I said, I have, a whole list of like, at least I almost text to an annoying amount. I would even say my
yeah,
friends say that. And like, I have like the excessive amounts of text messages I was sending him, like, "Hey, this is an update. Hey, this is another update." And I was like, "I didn't hear from her for 40 minutes." And it's like, you're just a liar.
oh my
Like,
god.
mhm.
Okay, and you'd been there for like 3 months before that, right?
Yeah, roughly. It like I was still pretty new, but I had been picking up extra hours, and um I had already known how to do the job basically. So I was doing a lot of like extra work. Not like
Yeah,
extra work, like unnecessary work, but um like stuff that had the manager had previously deemed stuff that we didn't have time to do, like cleaning in the cupboards and making sure there wasn't like old coffee grinds on the floor, and like
yeah,
cleaning inside the trash receptacle area. Like I definitely did like more than I don't want to like talk shit to my coworkers, because like a lot of them worked really hard, but like there was a lot of sitting around and texting, and like I totally did too, but like I always made sure that there was stuff that was done beforehand. So it was
yes,
like it
you,
just felt it like I said, I'd never been written up, I'd never been, told I was doing a bad job, but then all of a sudden, like, I'm tardy. I don't like I remember there was one situation. They do their schedule really weird. Like they do it like Wednesday to Wednesday. So when I looked
oh,
at my schedule, I wrote my stuff on the wrong days. And when he texted me like, "Hey, like you're supposed to be here right now," I was like, "Oh shoot, I totally made a mistake," and I was there in like 15 minutes, right? And
yeah,
that's like a very very common mistake apparently. Like he even reassured me of that a billion times. So the fact that he would like I said, that's the one area where I was like, okay, that's a place where he could have said I did something wrong. But even when I got into work, he was like, "Oh, people do it all the time," and I even stayed late to make up for the time.
wow,
So it's like,
that's
I yeah.
that's that.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not a an employer in Connecticut, but I can't imagine myself having any other reason to let somebody go on all those accounts other than I guess the controversial topic of Alex Jones, which is crazy. I didn't even realize. Like, I only recently found out that he said all those things about, um, or drew his own conclusions about Sandy Hook. Um, so that was all pretty intense. It's kind of like it all came as a wave.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even really concerned too much. Like I had been getting into all the things that are going on, current events, and keeping up, and then all of a sudden it went from like 0 to like 8, and like Paul Joseph Watson was banned, and Alex
Yeah.
Jones were banned, and my sister had been sending me like funny Paul Joseph Watson videos earlier this year on Facebook and stuff, and
Mhm.
just bizarre um, that people are getting taken off of a social media platform for what did they get Paul Joseph Watson for? Do you know?
Um. Shoot. Honestly, I'm not. I'm having a hard time remembering what his was
Yeah.
specifically. I think it was a video. Um. I could be totally lying though.
Yeah, I could be totally lying too, but as far as I know, I mean all I could like what I have stored in my mind of what he did was just make like videos with what I assumed to be just like statistics and facts. Um, and then he would like talk in like a high pitched, high pass, sped up voice and mock people. But
Yeah. I just don't remember which specific thing he did, which I'm
yeah,
kind of kicking myself for. Um.
yeah. Um, the worst thing is that I remember seeing it's weird because I'm like I feel like there are a group of people that are paying attention to all this stuff, then there are a vast majority of people that are not paying attention at all, and then there are a fringe minority of people that are also paying attention, but they're fueling it. And I try and bring this stuff up to my friends, and they don't even believe me. Some of the things I'm
Yeah.
like, so people are getting kicked off the internet now on Facebook, and if you can mention the person's name, but you have to denounce them. Uh,
Yeah. That's
Otherwise, you'll
insane.
get banned too. And that was kind of like, holy shit, that's totalitarian, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Um,
Well, I mean, it's just factually totalitarian behavior.
yeah, yeah. Um, and it's just so weird because I've been, we were originally going to talk about books on this
Yeah.
podcast, but I think this takes a front seat. But in regards to that, like I had read the Gulag Archipelago a couple of times earlier this year, and I just remember seeing things like there was one chapter where he just read off like the different ways that people could get like tenures or like tenors or 10 years in prison. And one was like this guy with a like a tailor like had like a needle and he was sewing some shoe or something, and he put the needle in the eye of a newspaper that had Stalin's eyeball in it, and they came in and they got him on Article 58 anti-Soviet propaganda or
Oh
something like that. And it's just crazy because it's like I feel like this is how it starts, but
yeah.
also don't want that to be taken out of context. I'm not some kind of whistleblower or anything, but it's weird that this stuff is
Well, I
going
mean,
on.
if you read anything about history, it's hard not to draw the similarities. I mean, it's not, especially for those of you who actually read along in the history books and remembered.
Yeah,
Um, it's like the similarities are there. It's not just like, and it's also not far and few between.
yeah, yeah. It
I
is
mean,
reason to be concerned.
the
I feel like.
general culture of online censorship directed at a group of individuals um, is a scary thing.
Yeah,
And
So,
not only that, but it's scary to be them. I mean, can you imagine if you dedicate your life to being a reporter or being a journalist or being an advocate for what you believe to be, the hope for your country, and then all of a sudden you're deemed a dangerous individual and considered a terrorist or a fearmonger or a conspiracy theorist, and now
yeah,
all of a sudden all of your life's hard work is invalidated by fluff writers at Huffington Post and people who are paid to take things out of context and make you look like some kind of demon to further some sort of ill-informed propaganda machine.
it's so bizarre because I took news writing in college, and if we had any kind of opinion, like you're not even supposed to have opinion words. Like unless you know something to be true, you're not even supposed to say like, "Oh, so and so sat in his office and hesitantly said this," because you don't know that because you weren't there. So that's why
Yeah.
everything is like this person said, or but yeah, it's
Mhm.
like a lot of the news. I don't even. I mean, I haven't watched like I just cringe when I see some of the stuff that's out there right now, and yeah, I feel terrible for the targets of these attacks, and it's crazy because it just makes everybody else who's paying attention to this and has any kind of differing opinion, like I'm sure so many people that are going to be watching this are like, yeah, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to lose my job, or I don't want
Yeah.
to be like, we know we need to speak up, but we can't because hopefully this will just go away and history and what's going on right now will correct itself. But um, I'm not sure if I'm of the opinion that that's going to happen right
Well,
now.
what's crazy to me is even personally, um, there has been a shift in how people approach me. Uh, I mean, like a lot of people like coming to know me knowing that I'm related to Anne, and people are very strongly opinionated about her. And I don't want to make it seem like everywhere I go, everyone's like, "Hey, how's Anne Coulter?" But in a sense, that kind of
Yeah,
is how it goes a lot of the time, because,
yeah,
um, especially because she keeps being so relevant in the news.
yeah,
But recently, instead of there's a shift in the last 4 years for sure. Instead of people saying, oh, she's a bigot, to my face, or at least privately, people are pulling me aside more and more privately, like, hey, like, I just want you to know that like, it's crazy how far people take this, and I've actually looked into it myself, and like, I can't speak up for it because I'll lose my livelihood, but like, I see a lot more that I agree with than I thought I would, and I just like want you to know that, like, I don't think she's terrible or awful, or like, I'll get a lot of people, like I said, in that similar vein, just like, I can't come out personally and talk about this stuff, but like, awesome that you're doing it. And it's just like, um that's
yeah.
such a
Thanks for
sad.
taking the bullets for all of us, or
I mean,
it's
I don't even really think of it that way, because it's just like, this is, I don't even consider myself the most conservative person. I'm not. I definitely fall more under a moderate. But
yeah,
these days, if you have even the slightest inkling that you agree with a conservative, like, bam, like, you're an undercover conservative. You secretly hate, homosexuality and, multiculturalism, and you are, fearful of immigration, and you must, be a bigot at heart. And it's just terrifying that people have been able to make anything conservative synonymous with such hateful things, when there are people who actually act with malicious intent, and in ways that I would actually, although that anyone would deem as acts of terrorism towards people who, disagree with them. Like, I just saw another video today of like a high school girl getting the crap beaten out of her for wearing a MAGA hat. Like, and then, but
yeah,
no, but people who support Trump are apparently, um, you know, the dangerous ones. Like, I didn't even vote for the guy, but like, people are getting beat up in the street. Like, young girls are getting beat up in the street in this country for wearing hats.
yeah. It's I heard somebody at I think it was one of Milo's speeches, um, like the one that's most infamous, where someone got maced or hit in the face, a girl, just for wearing a hat that looked like a MAGA hat. It wasn't
Yep,
even a MAGA
it
hat.
was just a red hat.
Um, there's a word for what's going on with this that I just came across. It's like about words that are becoming. It's like people keep using them in a different. They keep broadening the spectrum of things that this defines, and like words are starting to encompass meanings that they are not
Hmm.
originally supposed to be um, encompassing. It's like yeah, like what is a racist now? Because if it's somebody who voted for Trump, then what is the real person who's going out there and hating people because of their race? Or
Well, I mean, I saw like a ridiculous post. It was something about like when International Women's Day happened. This guy that I followed for a while posted something like, um, you know, Happy International Women's Day, except to the 53% of white women who voted for Trump. And I was just like, first of all, like, how dare you try to bastardize International Women's Day for your silly propaganda? But second of all, if you think that the 53% of women who voted for Trump were all white women, then you live under a rock. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, there, I mean, what, I mean, I guess Brexit hadn't happened yet, but like, what the hell do you think Brexit is? It's like a whole,
yeah,
and I mean, like, you know, for those of you with your heads in the sand, sorry, I kind of do mean to be a little rude here. Like look up C.J. Pearson, look up Candace Owens.
yeah,
Those are two prime examples of people that are really, really fed up with people assuming that they're Democrats or that they should be Democratic because of the color of their skin. It's it's preposterous to say that black culture has to encompass being a Democrat or you're like a race traitor.
yeah. No, it is appalling, and I did. I'm about this close to finishing The Big Lie, uh, as you requested, and I've seen the
Awesome.
movies, but the book is it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Not gonna give anything away in this interview slash podcast, but even all the more frustrating. But yeah, I why? So I guess I see it as like there's a large group of people that just either don't want. What do you think the thing is that? Because I was trying to do this, and I'm not I wouldn't consider myself a conservative either. Right now, I would say, if anything, I'm center with just a tiny bit to the right. I took like the political test, and that's where I ended up. And I wasn't even like, I was pretty forgiving on the answers, and some of them were like something about an animal or something. I'm like, well, that's pretty important, I guess. And I don't know, but where I guess what I'm asking is what I totally blanked on my question. I'm
That's
trying to
okay.
figure out. Oh yeah, so I put myself in the shoes of somebody that is in, I guess, what is now being called the left, like not liberal. There are liberals and then there are leftists, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so what would it be like to be somebody on the left where, as me and you wake up in the morning and don't look at the news because if we look at it, it'll be just something
Oh, I
really
definitely wake up
annoying.
and the first thing I do is look at the news, to be honest with you.
You like CNN?
I mean, just like I follow I check my feed on Twitter. I check Gab.
Oh, well,
Um,
of course, yeah. But I'm saying,
I
like, turn on the TV.
Oh yeah, no, not so much.
Yeah, so it's like I put
I
myself
don't
in
pay for
the.
cable.
Yeah, and because it's gotten to the point, and most people do. A lot of. I mean, it is dying, clearly, with what just happened with YouTube, but I try to imagine if I woke up and I turned on the TV and saw like everything that I agreed with, and it was like, oh, our president sucks, and he's doing this now, and he's doing that, and I'm like, oh, what an idiot. And then I call my friends, and we talk about how shitty our country is and how racist everyone is, and then um, I walk somewhere and I see someone wearing a hat that says like "fuck you" because like that's what it would look like to somebody
Mhm.
who sees somebody with a MAGA hat. And what do you think about that? What do you think their point of view? How do they see the world where this is all we've gone
Um,
so backward? Um,
well, okay, so I feel like that's a really tricky question. Um, because I mean, I used to consider myself on the far left. I like adamantly would state that I was politically on the far left because I didn't want to be associated with being a Coulter for the early part of my life, which was very stupid.
yeah,
Um,
well, it's
I
understandable.
well, I mean, I was sort of I was constantly told that everything that she said was like bigoted, um, and just like hateful. And instead of like reading it for my every time I read for myself though, like she does. I'm not going to say she doesn't say things that are a little bit outrageous sometimes. And I'm never going to like not say when she says something I don't agree with. But a lot of the situations where people would call to my attention something that she said, either it had been taken out of context, and in the context that they were talking about it, the one statement wouldn't seem nearly as bad, or they just completely, misrepresented what her point was. And it just it just doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth for like what the political left does. Um, and when you see people on the left bragging about how people are getting deplatformed and how that's good for their party, it's like you see very visibly that it's a tactic. And like some people aren't even being so like so conspicuous about it as to like
Yeah,
brag about it. So if I was still on the left and I was waking up every morning to being, you would think that they would be more content with all the narratives being in their favor. But what these narratives do is push this sentiment that like everything is wrong for you, everything's bad, you can't go forward because you're not being fairly represented. The president doesn't have your best interest at heart. He just wants to, spend millions of dollars getting rid of these poor immigrants, and he doesn't care about homosexuality, and he doesn't care about minorities, and um, you know, uh, it's just constant reaffirmation to be terrified. And in reality, like you take the heartbeat bill for example, and I personally, like I believe in, I am pro-choice to a degree, but I also think that 6 weeks is reasonable to also reasonable to a degree. And also on top of that, if you read the bill itself, like all of these people who are kicking and screaming about how women are going to get arrested and women are going to get prosecuted, it's like it's literally written into the bill that a woman will not be charged for the actual act or the conspiracy to commit the act. So it's like if you like, but when I did research on it, it took me 7 pages of pouring through these heartbreaking stories of women. And it was like, just to get to the congress.gov page that says like, PS, like women are not going to be prosecuted.
yeah,
And it's like, but how, like, nobody believes that. And it's just like, all you have to do is look up this one. So like I said, it's dangerous because it's making the super far left really militant, right? And it's
yeah.
also giving them fictional enemies. It's telling them that there's people out there who are insulted by their mere existence and that they need to be go eradicated, and you should make it uncomfortable for a prominent conservative to walk around in the streets. You should throw milkshakes at them, you should harass them. Like people are calling for that all over the internet.
And that's a call to violence. Like, if there ever was one. I mean,
Dude, I'm glad I have a platform to talk about this because this happened a couple of years ago. A guy that used to be friends with me had a situation in New York where he looks like he had like a beard. He kind of, looks like somebody who the media is painting as like an alt-right guy, right? And
Yeah.
this was a couple of years ago when that was really starting to be prominent.
Yeah.
So, he made a post on Facebook and he was like, some people today accused me of being like a white supremacist, and what do I do to avoid this? And it's like, well, I mean, were you spewing hate speech? Were you doing anything other than existing? Then no, like, that was ridiculous. And he was like remorseful for like existing on the subway, and everybody was jumping all over me for being like, you didn't do anything wrong. And I lost like a bunch of friendships over that one conversation. It was just like, dude, like, if you if how are people who argue the leftist argument going to sit here and tell me like, yo, the color of your skin just looked way too much like a Nazi, like we had to like assume so and just harass you, and you get to just sit there and take it because your ancestor might have been a Nazi, or like some other like totally foul logic.
Yeah. The it's despicable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what I can tell, it's kind of like they are employing the tactics that they're doing exactly what they have convicted all of their enemies of doing.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I'm not to give too much away about the big lie, but that's how the big lie is introduced, right? It talks
yeah,
about Hitler used to call like the way that he was able to misdirect people from realizing how much a fascist he was by calling everybody around him fascist. So like a very common
I mean,
tactic.
it
If you,
makes sense. it,
it
it seems
does.
like it would work. Like,
It's like
yeah,
the in Parks and Recreation, the group that calls themselves the Reasonableists, because if you dispute the Reasonableists, you sound unreasonable. It's like the
yeah.
same kind of mentality.
It's whoever's built up more of a reputation of being the reasonableness. And like Dinesh D'Souza says, since I think it's, I mean, I'll probably get a few people that, I mean, yeah, some people I talk to don't believe this at all, but I mean, I think it goes without saying that the left has the media and
Yeah,
Hollywood and the Academy.
yeah.
So those are the megaphones. Like, and what does everybody else have? Um,
They have
Nothing.
Facebook and Twitter and
Not for
YouTube.
long. Yeah.
Exactly. That's kind of what the
That
point I'm
seems
getting
like
at
what
is.
the plan is.
Well,
Um,
I mean, that's why the debate comes up. It's like, okay, are you a publisher or are you a platform? Because if you're a publisher, I guess whatever, you can exist in your own way, and that's, fascist as fuck. But we can just write that off as you being an independent publisher or a publisher. Or are you a
yeah.
platform? We treat, in which case, in the situation that this is, like, um, social media is the modern day public square.
Yeah, and
So
it truly is.
um, if you silence an entire perspective, then you're not giving them equal representation in the gathering in the square, and people aren't getting all the way informed. And honestly, people always pull up the like, oh, do you want Nazis to be on the internet? Do you want, open fascists to be on the internet? Do you want people who are homophobic? And it's like, yes, like if I want them to be identified and out in the open. If you encourage covert racism and covert bigotry, then you're forcing that shit underground, and you're weaponizing it and making it
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, somebody said, like, wouldn't you rather know what these people are up to? I think Jordan Peterson said that. I'm not going to attribute that quote to him specifically, but I remember, and I agreed with him. Like, yeah, wouldn't we rather know where all these people are if that's truly what they are? I
And
mean,
truly, if it causes you grief, all you have to do is hit the block button. It's the
yeah,
beautiful thing. You don't need it. If you don't like a narrative, you don't have to be exposed to it necessarily.
no.
You can just block.
Yeah.
And like that's not something that's necessarily true on all search engines, but like in the Facebook community and Instagram, on Twitter, you can block something, and if you're constantly blocking stuff, that's totally fine, but it's not up to you know freaking Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey to come on and say, oh, let me protect you from these dangerous people, don't worry, we're going to take them away and you're safe now.
And
Like, safe from what? Safe from thought?
do you think that's why they're doing it? Are they really concerned about people?
No.
What do you think that they're
They're
doing
not
this
con-
for?
they're not concerned, and I made a video about this and basically entitled like Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey don't care about your safety, they're just pushing an agenda. And somebody responded like, well, everybody has an agenda, and it's like, no shit, but they don't have the control of millions of people
Yeah.
and what they view every day. These people are not only using it to push their agenda, but like they're using it to silence anything oppositional. That's
Yeah.
not like, there's one thing if Facebook was, obviously Facebook and Instagram and all them like are biased towards liberals.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if they were like, we are more openly in favor of liberals, but still allowed the conservative narrative. That would at least make more sense. If you want to, publicly um, talk about your bias, I can at least I can respect that, right? Because this is
Yeah.
America, and you can tell everybody what you believe wherever you want, because that's the platform you created. We could share about every single bad smell and weird
Yeah.
thought that we encounter. So if you want to have that kind of platform and you want to keep encouraging that, I'm totally about it. But the second that you do things like implement shadow bans, and just
Yeah.
flat out take people off for erroneous reasons, and then allow other people on your team to exist who commit the same kind of violations, when you have like actual terrorist organizations operating on your platform,
Yeah.
when I can go on YouTube right now and watch a live fucking slave, excuse my French, but a live slave auction, and you're concerned with Alex Jones being allowed, I'm sorry, like you can just like screw right the hell off.
Yeah. No, it's a serious problem, and it's one that certainly didn't see us ending up in 5 years ago, sitting on Facebook writing statuses and shit like. And then I was thinking about it the other day, and it's like, how did all of these components that make up the public square end up in the hands of people that all share the same agenda? Like, why is everyone in Silicon Valley on this side of censorship? And
I mean, that's the beast of social media. I mean, um, you know, like people around our age are the kind of the guinea pigs of the social media monster, and people are,
yeah,
have developed ways to make a lot of success using social media, and even we're taking advantage of being able to reach out to lots of people on social media and through social platforms. Um, but like let's take Facebook for example. Mark Zuckerberg is the only person on Facebook who helped create Facebook who hasn't come out against it. All the other co-creators of Facebook have come out to say that they apologize to the public, and they believe that social media is tearing apart the fabric of our society, right? And they don't let their kids on social media. They barely go on social media, because it's like taken away the need for social interaction, and it's also
yeah.
created a whole new addiction, um, and it's kind of eroded the way that we coexist.
Oh,
So if you
certainly.
if you think about it that way, the reason that people like Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, and I can't believe his name is escaping me right now, the YouTube guy, whatever. I'm sorry. I'm
That's
having like
okay.
a,
The
a
YouTube guy.
the YouTube guy.
We'll
Such a,
just
oh
call
my
him
god, it
that.
sounds illiterate. But
It's
yeah,
probably
yeah,
better
no,
than
screw
naming
him.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, screw him. The reason that all of those people have so much power right now is because we we all succumb to this beast
Yeah.
of social media, and we all kind of have found our own reason to be addicted to it, and to the point where like I don't really know anybody who spends less than a few hours a day like looking at their phone.
I mean, you
Like if
have
I'm being
to.
real.
Like, even
Yeah,
in a
that's what
class for
like
college, I was forced to make a LinkedIn, like, as a
yeah.
project.
Like there's no useful reason to be a heroin addict, but like if you make your money, publishing stuff online, like you got a reason to be on social media all the time. And that's like a lot of us. A lot of us are freelancing now and doing stuff like, going on Patreon and all those like Fiverr. A lot of people are making money on
Yeah, I got
Fiverr
my
just like
first
doing
job on Craigslist, and I worked
yeah.
from my parents' garage. Like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
doing.
I'm like just now starting to be a contributing writer to a couple different places. So like
Yeah.
um it's it's a beauty and a beast in and of
Yeah.
itself, but it is in the hands of these people who are out of control with power, and more money than any of us will, most of us, I don't want to say any of us, but most of us will probably ever see in our freaking lives.
Yeah, and that's
And
just,
they
yeah.
have these god complexes, and they sit on their stacks of money, and they sit there and they tell us, oh, we're just shush shush shush, we're here to keep you safe, we're here to make sure that the big mean people don't cloud your judgment and turn you into a Nazi. Calm down, it's okay.
This is something that it took me, like, I really had a hard time with it, with trying to figure out what, like, because socialism, like, I never thought this word would come back up, uh,
I
ever.
was pro
Like,
socialism until I really understood what the fuck it meant.
well, that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
like
It's like,
to an
how do, yeah,
and I mean there are certain facets of socialism, just like certain facets of capitalism, that are great. But
yeah.
like if you don't modernize it and integrate it with other principles, socialism by itself is a monster.
Well, yeah, and it's because, like,
Socialism is
yeah.
socialism is the mother of dragons burning down the fucking city. You
Yeah,
know
and
what I
it
mean?
was weird because I had to think about it, and it's like, okay, so I know, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, but because I would find myself trying to explain why socialism is so bad to people, and they're like, but where does all the money go? Like, to a
Yeah.
couple people in government. I was like, I really don't understand how this happens. So I just kept researching, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I think that what's happening right now is kind of a prime example of people get too much power, and then they're like, yeah, this is nice. I'll just do
Well, if you
this.
think
And
about that in terms of Congress, like when we give Congress any power at all, like how many situations can you come up with where they've given any of that power back, where any of the stuff that has gone into legislation has been tamed or kind of like drawn back from? Because there's not really that many
no,
examples.
not a lot. Um,
So when you talk about like absolute power corrupting absolutely, like you talk about this group of people who yield this like insane amount of power
Not my
and
quote,
like
by the
don't.
way. I think it was Lord something. I forgot. Apparently, his first name is Lord. If it's a he, I don't know.
Oh shoot, I should know this.
It was.
My
I heard it in
my
a
boyfriend will be
book.
really upset with me.
Lord something. Yeah, we can do a Google.
Yeah, I'm just looking it
Google
up.
earned some points for backing Crowder this week. I'm pretty sure they supported him. I want to say Huron, but I know that's a band, so I can't say that. That's not it. What book was that?
A British historian, Lord Acton.
Yes, yes, Lord Acton. Is his
I
first name
might be
really
totally
Lord?
butchering the pronunciation of his name, but
No, that sounds about right.
okay.
Either that or the person who read the audiobook to me butchered it too, because it sounded
Okay.
pretty close to that.
Yeah.
So, what is Stop the Bias? Um, I didn't hear about that until I watched you on Tim Pool, uh, and I also heard it brought up recently. I think Gavin McInnes is actually going to be speaking at a Stop the Bias event. Um,
The one in DC on the 6th?
yes, July 6th, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to go to that too, honestly. That Stop the Bias is, I believe, the brainchild of Laura Loomer,
Okay.
who is considered the most, I and a lot of other people would consider the most banned woman in America. Um, you know, I doubt I can even go through the whole list. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, PayPal, Uber Eats, Lyft,
What?
City Mobile, PayPal. I already said PayPal.
Yeah.
Uh, I know there's a few I'm missing. I think Venmo.
Oh my God, how do you ban
Um,
somebody from using a thing to buy food? Like,
yeah.
that's just insane.
Um, yeah.
What did she
So
do? What do they say she did?
they
Because I haven't been keeping up with her too much.
Well, right now she's currently involved in a. You can go to freeloomer.com or lauraloomer.us and read, or freeloomer.com is where you can read about the lawsuit that she's currently involved in with Twitter and CARE. CARE being the Islamic organization, who they colluded with Twitter to get her banned for tweeting about um, uh, anti-Semitism and pro-terrorist stuff, and people just say like, "Oh, like you're just an Islamophobic piece of shit." Like, "Oh, you're crazy. What are you talking about? There's no collusion. There's no, terrorism going on in like extreme Islam." Um, and they've all but like I mean, she's been blacklisted from so many things. She confronted Hillary Clinton. She stormed the stage at Shakespeare in the Park. Um, she handcuffed herself to the front of the Twitter building. She
I
showed
did
up
hear
on
about
Nancy.
that.
She showed up on Nancy Pelosi's front lawn with illegal aliens to, demonstrate her hypocrisy. She went to Jack Dorsey's and um, put up a thing on his wall of all the conservatives that got banned. She is a modern day Gonzo journalist,
Wow.
basically. Very cool girl.
Yeah.
I encourage people to like actually look. Like I said, it's the same with my aunt. I encourage people to actually look into what she says and what she writes, because too often I get people who've never read anything that either of them had put to paper or watched anything that wasn't recycled like and chopped to pieces. So like actually go and like do the research for yourself, and if you still don't like them and if you still think that they're terrible, that's totally fine, but like don't come to me and tell me that like, oh, the New York Times told me that she's a Nazi. It's like actually she's super Jewish. um,
Yeah.
and um, you know, I believe go look it up for yourself. Like it's
Yeah.
just like it's like people who say that like Milo is um a racist, even though his husband's African American.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like
married to a black man.
it's like
And he's
you
also
just
Jewish, so he can't be an anti. Well, I mean, I guess you could still
you
be a
you could.
self-loathing everything about yourself.
Well,
Um,
I mean, it's like when people, said that Lucian Wintrich was like a homophobe, and it's like he's totally openly gay. It's like, oh, well, then you just must be a self-hating gay. It's like, what are you
I guess that
talking
makes it
about?
even worse if you
Hmm.
are gay and then you also hate the gays.
Well, you got to remember, there's still a whole population of people out there that strongly believe that you can't be a conservative if you're gay. You can't be a conservative if you're any kind of minority. You can't be a conservative if you've immigrated to this country. You can't be a conservative if you're a woman unless you're white.
I think that's the biggest problem with our society right now is because
Identity politics.
this, well, that, yes, and the feeling that there are a certain set of rules written by somebody that isn't you, they're not the law, but you need to follow
Yeah.
these without questioning them. It's like it's already been happening. The
Yeah.
like I have always been somebody who has an open mind. Like I'm not even gonna like when I heard Tim Pool, another plug, bring up Ancient Aliens. Like I used to watch that show, and I don't think it's total BS. All they really do is give theories. It's not like they're
Yeah.
claiming anything. So even I was like, well, I don't know. They could be aliens, but I mean,
Yeah.
having an open mind, like I've never been one to just like hate something or someone or disagree with something without first going and doing the research about. And that's how I ended up in this situation, honestly, because
Yeah.
I knew politics was divisive, didn't want it to affect my relationships, but I kept getting pushed, and then I'm like, all right, well, I guess I got to go figure out what's going on. And
Yeah.
to my great horror, uh, a lot. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I think people need to start questioning, even if they think they've got everything figured out.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, I mean, not even just start questioning, but people need to. I'm not saying everybody needs to be super politically involved. I understand that for some people it is really just too stressful, but at least, um, you know, be informed about the stuff that you want to like pay attention to. Like, don't just listen to one narrative because you're not gonna, if you don't, even if you end up ultimately disagreeing with everything you hear from somebody you wouldn't normally listen to, the fact is you know what their talking points are, and that
yeah,
only informs your decisions more, and it only informs your points more. Whereas, like, see, when I actually dived into the research more, like, I found myself being like a little bit more conservative leaning than I thought I'd ever be. So it's
yeah,
like, and I'm not saying like if you only did your research, you might be a conservative, but like if you only did your research, you might actually sound informed. And
yeah,
it's like I'm not just saying that like you have to sound informed, but how do you know? How can you truly know if you believe something if you only understand it from one perspective? That's
yeah,
just that you're just being a mouthpiece.
yeah,
That's not understanding a situation. That's saying that you unequivocally trust whoever told you that information enough to not look elsewhere for any more information, but to accept that as your ultimate truth and go forward and try to spread that and that alone.
yeah. And it's weird too because I mean, you think that how active people that have viewpoints that they don't research, are at spreading their viewpoints and sharing them and advocating for them. Like, I wouldn't be able to advocate for something unless I was able to answer all the questions somebody might have for, like, why? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because you're selling something. Why should I buy that? Like, well, because, I mean, usually it takes passion uh, to want to, like, have somebody else. Like, you show somebody a YouTube video because you think it's funny, but you also realize, like, this person doesn't want to watch. If somebody just showed me a video, I wouldn't really watch it unless they told me, like, no, really, it's funny, and this is why.
Yeah.
Um, Not a great example, but yeah. Um, mm. There was something else about privacy while we're talking about with the social media companies and everything. I'm not sure where I heard this. Um, might not be a credible source, but I heard somewhere that like because companies do collect analytical data on their
Yeah.
on the users, and I'm pretty sure they sell it to ad companies and to
Yeah.
figure
Oh
out
yeah.
who to target as far as marketing goes. But I heard that they're collecting data that's not even allowed to be collected with the sole purpose of having it when the laws change to when it is allowed. And that's very concerning.
Well, I mean, when you sign over these user agreements or when you accept these terms and conditions, you're signing a contract with a company. So, um, and there are a lot of these, like Snapchat is big about it. Like, almost all of them have reverse engineering software that allows them access to your microphone, your camera, your messages, your contacts, your email, um, your settings, your IP address, your current location, um, like this is, and it's not like a state secret. Like all of these things are accessible, um, like when you agree to these terms and conditions. Like I
Yeah.
mean, Snapchat, like they have that map. You can literally see where everyone is on your freaking phone.
Yeah. That is
But
crazy.
like, but that's just like from personal interface. Like that's not even like Google. When you have Google open, they can be recording. They can be using your like mic and everything. And not to mention tracking what you're searching, and like all these other apps that can that you allow to have access to your microphone and all that stuff that don't need to be operating while they're using
Yeah.
it. Like that's not dystopian. That's the world we live in right now. Like that's why people cover up their cameras. You
Yeah.
know,
Now
like
I put I there's things for the aux plug too, which thankfully they're getting rid of that for most um, phones, but I suppose there's another thing for that now, like
they're
in
just
these
getting it
headphones.
closer to your head.
Yeah, they're like,
Everything
can we
like
see what they're thinking?
yeah. Well, I mean, we have all those. You keep hearing these instances of like people with Alexa devices, like um
Yeah,
Alexa calling the cops on people. Um,
yeah,
like
yeah,
like those like funny yet horrifying videos of people being like, Alexa, do you report to the CIA? And she just turns off.
yeah. And I'm pretty
And like
sure that they just passed something to where they're going to be allowed to collect, or they're going to be allowed to listen like every certain amount of time, um, just in
well, just so
case somebody says something that isn't fully, you know, if
they've
the,
already done
yeah,
that. There was already a case where someone was tried based off of evidence that they pulled from an Alexa while the Alexa was close to like someone was killing their wife or something like that. I don't remember the exact story, but it was a homicide, and they were able to obtain audio evidence from their Alexa. And it was like, so, and like everybody was like, oh yeah, we caught this killer. And like somebody God sends from down from heaven was like, so we just gonna ignore the fact that Alexa is recording 24 hours a day? Like,
God, surprised that didn't get just banned or censored. Censorship.
I mean, someone tried to give me an Alexa device a couple years ago, and I never took it out of the box, and I kind of just gifted it away to somebody and was like, no thanks. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I already have Apple products out the wazoo. I already have all my, my phone's got cameras. I
yeah,
go on Twitter, I go on all the apps. You know,
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like accepting, okay, I've already been, smoking cigarettes for this amount of time. All I can do now is stop. I've got all the Apple products. I
yeah.
uh, I can't really go about. I'm not going to change to Windows. I mean,
Well, I mean, it doesn't
no
matter even
offense
if
to
you do change.
Windows. Yeah,
No, I mean, offense to all of them. The whole
yeah,
system is
yeah,
messed up. And I mean, Apple is particularly bad with their planned obsolescence. Like that's been going on for decades, and um, I don't know. I mean, like I said, social media is like a whole monster, and like I remember as like a teenager and younger even discovering social media and like learning the hard way that like you just don't post certain shit online.
yeah,
We were the guinea pigs for all of that. We were all the people that's like I remember taking videos in high school in my student lounge, and like I went on my old Facebook and I saw some of those videos, and I'm like at one point like this is online. Like at one point there's a video of one of my like other students like explaining that his shirt was a pass for like the Colombian coke dealers, and like it's just like the dumbest shit we would just sit in front of a camera and just talk about, or like just
yeah,
like go online and share all sorts of unnecessarily personal statuses, or like stuff that like if we're brought it to attention now would just like be like, wow, you're insane.
Yeah.
And but
No,
like
I have
I feel like
time
that
hop.
also, yep. Oh my god, I feel like that also has created, especially for like people in our generation more so, like a sense of like, all right, we've all said dumb shit on the internet, so like
Yeah.
at least for me, I personally don't feel as like embarrassed of my internet history because it's like I know, like we all consciously know that we were the guinea pigs for this whole situation,
Yeah.
and we were impressionable and addicted to this new form of communication and saying dumb shit. So like if people really want to go digging through my history and pull up some silly stuff, I like some quote that I used from like the band The Used when I was emo, or like some
Yeah.
like weird leftist rhetoric, like or like some, you can pull up stuff that I used to trash Anne on the internet. I clearly don't feel that way anymore. So like if you really want to waste your time and dig through all this the mindless stuff that I put on the internet, like you have way more free time on your hands than I do. More power to you, man. But
Yeah.
like,
I mean, if somebody has to dig for stuff to defame you for some reason, that wouldn't be somebody worth paying attention to. I don't
well, I
know.
mean that's what they do and that's what they've done. I mean that recently there was a dispute with on the conservative side because this one, I don't want to like bring up the whole thing again, but this one guy, this one like younger kid who worked with a bunch of conservatives, like said the N word like 50 times and like made fun of a girl for like dating a person of color, and it was like a whole thing. Like I understand if that kind of stuff comes up, like if you can, you won't, but if someone ever found me saying the N word like 50 times, like I could understand, like, but if it's like some stupid shit from when I was a kid and I used to like do drugs and like be an idiot in New York, like I don't even resemble that human being anymore. So it's like,
Yeah.
go ahead. I feel like a lot of us feel immune in that way. A lot of us are like, yeah,
Yeah.
I own the fact that like I have character flaws, and I own the fact that like I don't come from the prettiest history, and
Yeah.
like if you want to try to defame me for that, go for it, but like I don't even sound like that person anymore. So when you're in 2019 here with me, let me know.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I think owning stuff like that is the best because I mean, it would be kind of even weirder if you went back and deleted all the stuff that
It'd
you
be so
had
weird.
and then you just weren't a person until 2019 and then it's like, all right, is this a catfish or
Yeah, it's fake. It's fake
which
news,
is
alternative facts.
but yeah, I don't know. Dystopian.
My favorite thing
Dystopians.
ever, my family is like, we know like Kellyanne Conway and all them, and she actually came to my birthday party when I was 15 years old, and like nobody knew who she was. We were all young or whatever, and I a lot of those people are not exactly cool with me anymore. I like to joke that if they try to get lippy with me, I'll release photos of them at a party with Kellyanne Conway.
Oh, which is probably terrifying.
Yeah, it's like you say that you're a liberal, but here you are at Parnell's dancing with what appears to be Kellyanne Conway in the background. Can you explain yourself?
It's like that would make the front page of Huffington Post or
Yeah,
gosh,
whatever other
just
trash publication.
news today. I
Um,
don't know. Um, so what is what is behind the ladies' room?
So behind the ladies' room is the Instagram that kind of takes you like behind the scenes of the podcast that I'm doing for
Okay.
Culture. Culture is with the one with 3 T's, CULTTTURE.
Yes, followed it
Um,
over the weekend.
they're freaking rad. They're going to be publishing my podcast. It is a mental health awareness podcast where basically I invite people from all walks of life, from all genders, from all ages, ethnicities, whatever, to share their experiences with mental health and to kind of talk about situations that they've been through, because there's um, the environment that we live in, people take advantage of other people's mental diagnoses, and they also are like really judgmental and unfriendly. And I
Yeah.
wish that I'm just trying to foster an environment where like we can have open conversations about mental disorders, where we can show people that it's okay to like talk about it. Because like
Yeah.
the more people talk about it, the less people can use that kind of stuff against everybody. Like you see it all over the place. Like people will try to defame by saying like someone is psychotic or crazy, or someone will be like, oh, this person was diagnosed bipolar, or this person's battled with drug addiction, and like they'll try to use that as an excuse to not listen to somebody, and that's just a toxic way to be. So I just want to take, especially like, you know, in this world that we live in where people who aren't Nazis are being called Nazis, and people who um people who are discriminated against don't get a proper voice, and we live in an age of like complete bipartisan. So I try to have a
Yeah.
platform where people can just come and be casual and talk about their story, and share laughs, and we laugh and we cry, and we laugh so
Yeah.
hard we cry, and we
Yeah.
share real conversations. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It sounds like it would be getting people to be vulnerable, talking about stuff that they probably don't talk to anybody
Hmm.
about, because people are, I don't know, I think there's still a stigma that comes along with wanting to go see a psychiatrist or something like that, or
Yeah.
sharing things is hard, especially when um, the media is hanging on every word you say and
Yeah,
can
exactly.
use everything against you. And
You know
um,
what? I actually I totally want to bring this up because normally I really don't have much nice to say about her, but Miley Cyrus earlier today shared a tweet that was like, share like something you wrote when you were younger or did when you were younger, and like, write, like say something, like talk to, like try to like talk to a younger version of yourself. Like
yeah,
the way that we end the podcast, I'll give a little preface, is we ask somebody to like picture a younger version of themselves and what they would say to them, and she tried to she shared something similar today. And like normally like there's a lot that I think is just kind of disgraceful about her message, and I can't imagine, I can't judge personally because I don't know her, but
yeah,
like I can't imagine that being Miley Cyrus is the happiest existence on this planet. But I super appreciate that she would push that message. So like I definitely want to give a shout. Like I said, normally I'd be kind of bashing her, but I want to give a shout out for that because that is like really important
well,
self-reflective stuff.
yeah, that's cool. Shout
And
out to Miley Cyrus.
especially if we're talking about like the sentiment of the ladies room, like it's good to see somebody who has a lot more influence than I do share such a like a similarly aligned message,
Yeah,
even though like I said that's about where our similarities start and
cool.
end.
That is something
I
I'll
don't
be
know.
following for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I try to keep up the behind the ladies room page updated. We do like I try to do like DIY self care stuff that you could do at home, and um, before the actual show is released, that's where you can like follow up on stuff that we do.
Cool. And I will provide a link to that at the in the description of this video, etc. So, um, I was going to ask you if you had a MAGA hat and would you wear one, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that you do not and probably wouldn't wear one. But
I I would wear I don't own one. No, I don't. But I wouldn't not wear one. I've been joking with Baked for a while, with Baked Alaska for a while, that he owes me a hat because he borrowed one of mine. That's like a long past thing, but he's really funny. But no, like he also doesn't actually owe me a hat. That's just like an ongoing joke. Um, but I that's a long-winded way of saying, like, I don't think I would not wear a MAGA hat for anything other than I just, like, I'm a freaking oppositional person, and, like, I would show it to, like first of all, I don't wish anything ill upon the president, right? I support our president. I didn't vote for him. I didn't. I voted for Hillary Clinton, like, which I think is a mistake at this point, but, like, I wish I didn't have to vote for either of them. But
Yeah.
at this stage of the game, like, damn straight, if, like, a bunch of the people that I care about were going to be walking down the street wearing MAGA hats, like, I would join them because A, like, I want the president to succeed, and B, like, don't fucking tell me what I can and can't wear. Like,
Those are two really good reasons. Yeah.
I mean, it's the people are trying. I know a lot of people. I can, like, hear the rhetoric already. Like, a lot of people, like, have the red hat synonymous with, like, actually waving a Nazi banner, and it's just like, get over yourself. It's not the same thing.
Study World War II. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
read.
Actually study World War II.
Yeah, like, go read Bloodlands. Or
Um,
fucking
oh my, World War II is a whole other topic conversation.
yeah, definitely.
That I would much rather cover by, like, reading books and reviewing them instead of just, like, because if you don't have, even if you do have ready facts to draw back on, people get really touchy about World War II.
I mean, yeah, some of the stuff.
I don't support Nazis. I'm not a Nazi supporter. I don't want anybody to run off and try to be like, oh, she says World War II is a touchy subject, and she's a white woman, and her name is Coulter, so she must be talking.
Like, oh, why would she?
Why she must be a sympathizer?
That. Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
which apparently you are guilty of being if you don't adamantly support the opposition or.
Well, I mean, I said this on Tim Pool, and I'll say it on here. Like, I got, like, even when I posted a picture hanging out with Milo, I was getting messages left and right, like, how are your Jewish friends supposed to feel? How are your black friends supposed to feel? And I was like, I don't know. Like, you tell me. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was also going to ask you, so how was meeting him? Because he seems like a totally cool guy. Like, I understand that he's a provocateur and people reserve the right to be pissed off about him coming to their campus or something, but I saw a video where there was one lone supporter that came to protest. I guess it was a lone protester, and he brought the guy a bottle of water and was like, you want to come inside? Seemed like a really nice dude.
To be completely honest with, I've, like, interacted with him online since, but the one interaction I had with him, I had a lot of champagne, to be completely honest with you, and okay. We were all drinking, so for sure. We were having a good time. We were laughing. We were hanging out. It wasn't like, there was. I mean, he does have a very boisterous attitude, and he did say some stuff that did kind of make me turn my head, but that was more in concern to, like, the fact that I was hanging out with Lucian, and he was just saying stuff to Lucian that I didn't really approve of. But, like, it wasn't like he wasn't, like, it wasn't anything political. It was more just, like, my personal thing. Yeah. But, like, even so, like, it was just like a normal hangout. Like, we were all just hanging out drinking. Like, it wasn't, so, like, the impression that I got from him is just that, like, he, especially at the time, like, he's definitely moved away from materialism in the last, like, year or so. He used to be way more materialistic, so, like, I did get that more of an impression when I did meet him. But, like, other than that, like, he was perfectly friendly to me, like, a little bit, like honestly, like, I don't want to class him in with a stereotype, because, like, I feel like that's not fair to anybody individually, but, like, they're, like, if you want to picture an archetype for a friendly gay friend and a bunch of people hanging out and drinking, that's, like, very close to what my night looked like.
Well, it doesn't sound half bad.
It wasn't. It was fantastic. It was a really lovely time, and then I went home and I slept until 2 p.m. It was it was not an atypical experience just because
Yeah.
it was Milo. It was,
Yeah.
it was a
Be
fun
cool if we
time.
could all get along like that. Just
Yeah. Well, I mean,
everybody.
that's kind of Lucian. I will say Lucian is the one that opened me up to that. Like, Anne introduced me to him, and he was kind of being referred to in all sorts of derogatory ways after the Twinks for Trump thing, and just to like meet him and see how nice he was in person was like, oh, like maybe this narrative is bullshit, and maybe I should do my own research. And the closer I got to him, and the more people that I met in that circle, and the more people that I actually started reading about,
Yeah.
and reading their actual work, it was like, wow, like not only are they nice and cool, but they make sense.
Yeah. So, okay, so you used to be on what I guess you consider to be the left, and then you, Lucian, or Anne introduced you to Lucian, and that's how you kind of, that opened your eyes to read um, some stuff. Kind of, if you would provide like an example of like, I don't want to say red pilled or blue pilled or whatever, like what opened you up to changing your mind? Just meeting somebody who was um, not what you know thought they were, or um,
I mean, basically, just like seeing how feverishly the mainstream was pitching that these people were Nazis,
yeah,
especially my aunt, because it's like I know my aunt's not a Nazi.
yeah,
Um, I know that like my family doesn't like we're not you know Nazi sympathizers. So like which I should have acknowledged when I was younger, but branching off from that and branching off from like having interactions with people my age. Well, like I said, I'm bringing it back to my point earlier. There's a lot of people who believe that you can't be gay and a conservative. So it
yeah,
was like, oh, you're a really well-read, well-spoken gay conservative. Okay, so you're not a unicorn. Lots of people exist like this. Let me actually read into that. Oh, Republicans aren't actually homophobic. Like, oh, Republicans don't actually hate minorities. The left
hmm,
does.
yeah,
Like, um, when you encourage illegal immigration, you sanction being able to have undocumented people here who you don't have to pay as much as people who are here legally. So, like,
yeah.
honestly, screw you. You want to
That,
talk
and
about like
it's,
who
yeah,
hates
it's
immigrants?
dangerous for
It's
them.
yeah.
Um,
So like I said, that's just one of the things that I felt like I was able to like take the blinds off my eyes about. It's like,
yeah.
okay, so like a
So you
lot of
spotted some
and
inconsistencies.
the fact that like there is so much crossover between the conservative and the liberal movement. Like
Yeah,
um if you look back in history, even I only recently upon studying more like learned stuff such as like, I mean, we all know that the history that we're taught isn't necessarily the full truth.
oh yeah.
Like
Now well, some of us do.
yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, like there are still people who live under the impression that George Washington was the first president, and like not only was he not the first president, but he was the first president under this system, and he was the one who warned us about splitting into a two-party system and how that would be the demise of America. Like, not
I'm
to
embarrassed
mention,
to say that I did not know that he was not the first president.
yeah, he was
Um,
the eighth. He was the eighth president.
what? Who was the first
Yeah,
president?
you. Let me. I don't have the. I
Not
don't
to put you on the
remember.
spot, I was just, you got me on that one.
Yeah, I mean it's
Damn.
we. I forget who this is a quote from, but it's history is a set of lies agreed upon by the victors. You
That
know,
that totally, that makes
um,
sense.
and then I mean, and then you look at stuff where it's like people forget that Republicans were the ones that were anti-slavery
Yeah,
and
yeah,
were the ones who implemented indentured servitude before slavery was illegal. Like
yeah.
you can look back on Congress, the people who were voting for slavery were all Democratic. So
Yeah.
it's like the fact that like people are so brainwashed and like I mean, you could say that there's brainwashing in a lot of different capacities from a lot
Yeah.
of different parts of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
But like even down to like core curriculum, which PS is why my kids will never be put into the private school system, or we're going homeschool. Like no, none of this. Have you
Yeah.
seen those videos of like core curriculum math? Like the new long convoluted way to do division.
I've heard of something like that.
Dude,
Please tell me.
core curriculum is honestly like I don't want to give too much glorification to it, but just to say that like look into generalized core curriculum because statewide core curriculum standards drop yearly in order to accommodate lower grade testing because they don't want to have their school systems not exist, and in order to receive federal funding they have to meet certain minimal standards, and when they constantly don't meet those minimal standards, those standards get lowered. So now we got like people going into the 5th grade who don't know how to fucking read. And it's just
Wonderful.
like yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't work. Um it's a
Gee.
failing system.
Yeah.
And the problem isn't going to be throwing more money at it, it's going to be restructuring it from the ground up. And
But
like
not Green New
God
Deal
bless people.
style though.
No. No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Um Geez. There's so much that
Yeah.
we were not able to cover this
Yeah.
time. It's like we barely touched on all these things, but there are so many. It could be like a very long history of the world from a couple of points of view. But let me ask you this to tie this all back to something about books. What kind of books have influenced you that you might suggest for somebody who's kind of like maybe they just started realizing like there's some inconsistencies in the narrative that I've been seeing, or maybe I just want to learn more about my opinion and why I think it so I can defend it or something like that.
To be honest with you, I like wish I was more up on books than I am. I would a few I would recommend. Economics in One Lesson is a really good one if you want to just get a better understanding of that subject, which does feed into politics very strongly. The Big Lie, which we talked about, definitely gonna plug Anne's book, In Trump We Trust, and Resistance is Futile. I don't honestly like as far as stuff goes, like I would just encourage people to start listening to more fringe podcasts. Um oh my gosh, there's these two podcasters. I think they're called the Red State. I don't want to say the wrong thing though.
Yeah.
Let me just look it up super quick. Honestly, like what really got me involved in wanting to like pay attention more was I started out listening to the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, his show is super
Um,
cool.
his show is really great. Like, I mean, we all got kind of pissed at him with the whole Jack Dorsey thing. I say we all, like I speak for whatever group. I don't.
Well,
I'm
you
just saying,
speak
a
for
lot of people.
me partially too. I mean, we're on
That,
the
and then
kind of
Tim
the
Pool
same
came
page.
back on. Plug in Tim Pool
Yes,
again,
yes.
and that was great. Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. That's a good podcast to listen to, even though that's kind of off topic. InfoWars. I watch a lot of InfoWars. Soph. Soph is
So,
fantastic. I love her. The other day I was scrolling through the comments on the Tim Pool video, and somebody asked if I was Soph's mom, and I was
oh
trying to
my
find a
god.
way to comment to that and be like, no, but I'm honored in a way that didn't make me sound like a creep, and after several
Yeah.
hours of typing and deleting, I decided not to leave the comment, but it was still like, know, like
Yeah.
that's such an honor. Like no, but if I ever do have a daughter, I would be honored if she ended up like Soph.
Nice.
Mike Cernovich, Ollie Alexander, these are all people you should listen to if you're into, look them up on Periscope. Cassandra Fairbanks, Jack Posobiec, Will Chamberlain. Those are all really good ones. Lucian's not online so much anymore, but he used to make really great videos. I really hope I'm not leaving anybody out.
You covered
I don't think
quite a few.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely put some in here too. And we can leave as many comments as we want. I'll leave them not non-disabled. Or wait.
Yeah. Just don't be an
asshole. I will not disable the comments. Yeah. Well, Kimberly, it's been like a complete pleasure talking to you. And this has been a really great conversation. And would definitely love to have another one. We'll be looking out for your podcast. When is that supposed to come out on Culture?
That's still kind of in the works, but just if you follow me on Twitter at Coulter Culture, COULTERCULTURE, I'll keep you guys updated on a release date. And also if you follow Culture, that's the Culture with 3 T's on Instagram or on Twitter, they'll probably put a release date soon. Maybe you can lean on them and be like, slide into their DMs and be like, I'm looking for the ladies' room, but I can't find it. No, don't actually do that. They would be so pissed at me. Probably not pissed at me, but I don't want to like send a whole swarm of people. Just like, wait. Good things come to those who wait.
That is a good quote. And we will end it on that.